Hi, my name is David Maldo, and this is the Let's Do Video podcast, where we talk about everything in the business communications world with, of course, a focus on video. And I think today is going to be very interesting because we're going to look at the role of the integrator. We have a bit of an unusual industry, not just video conferencing, but AV in general, in that the end users, they don't just buy the toys directly from the vendors. Some of this stuff requires expertise to set up the room, design the room, configure it, support it. So we have what we call the integrators, which kind of sit in between the users and the vendors and make everything work. That can lead to a little confusion of information going between the vendors and the end users, and even the analysts and the media. So to help me sort it out, I have a special guest today, Kelly Perkins from AVI Systems. So Kelly, thanks for joining me. And can you briefly introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about your background in the AV industry?
Sure. Thanks for introducing me, David. I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on your show. My name is Kelly Perkins, and I work for an integration company headquartered out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, called AVI Systems, with 17 offices around the U.S. And prior to working at AVI Systems, I worked for a manufacturer in the industry as well, a company called Vadio that manufactured robotic PTZ cameras, as well as some switchers, mixers, and some audio equipment towards the end of my time there. I've been at AVI for about a year and a half now. I started last April, so it's been very different working on the integration side. I will say that, and not in a bad way, in a good way. It's just completely different.
What interests me is your perspective seeing it on the vendor side and now the integrator side. I think we're going to learn a lot in this discussion. But before we get into that, I just want to ask you a little bit about your current role at AVI.
Okay, so I am the marketing communications manager. I work directly with a lot of our executives on everything from marketing, PR, communication to some strategy. I have a team of 4 people. We have an event manager, we have a digital marketing strategist, and a couple of marketing research analysts.
Now, it must be a much different atmosphere. It's such a larger company. You must have to deal with a lot more people during the day. Is it a completely different work lifestyle? Is that a thing, being at AVI as opposed to Vadio?
Yes. That was probably the biggest challenge when I switched over and started at AVI, because when you're a manufacturer, you know the people you're dealing with, your potential customers. And again, Vadio was a lot smaller. So I would say my email inbox has probably tripled as far as the traffic and activity I get on a daily basis. I really have to focus a lot on, not spending all day looking through email and answering people's questions. We have about 500 people internally within the company, so it's dealing with a lot of those folks, as well as existing customers, potential customers, and then all of our manufacturer partners, and then everybody else in between. So yes, there's definitely a lot of people involved.
And I would think that since you have to deal with more people, are you actually getting to use the tools a lot more? Is it all email, or are we doing a lot of video, doing a lot of collaboration?
Oh yeah, that's honestly probably the favorite part of my job. I absolutely love being able to use video all the time. It's cool because I can work from home sometimes. I can work from the coffee shop. I can sit here and I can talk to everyone in my office, or I can talk to everyone in any office anywhere. And it's so much easier for me to pay attention to conversations with video because, I'd been talking earlier, I am a fidgeter. I'm pretty sure I have a strong case of ADD. I'm all over the place. So if I'm on video, it's like actually talking to a person and not just sitting and going back and forth on a voice and looking at my email and, reading an article here and tweeting over here and doing all that stuff at the same time. So no, it's awesome. And it's so fun because there's so many different varieties of the different technology that I do get to use on a daily basis. So yeah, I use it a lot more.
I'm the same way. I get distracted. If no one can see me and I know I don't have to behave myself, I'm checking my email, I'm playing with the guitar, I'm doodling, I'm not paying as much attention as I should be. And when I'm on video, if I was sitting in the same room with you, I wouldn't be looking away while you're talking to me. Of course I'd be paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. No, it holds you accountable. And for me, it keeps me in line, I guess.
And I would think it makes it a lot easier on your sales team if they could say, instead of theoretically you should buy this product and have us install it and work it for you because it'll help your productivity, for them to say, our company uses it and it changes our lives. We use it, we know it works, and you guys should use it too.
Absolutely. It is, seriously, David, my work-life balance, just because of being able to use video and having it adopted and, used really easily by everybody in our company, like my life has gone from like here to like here. It's crazy. I didn't realize how much of a difference it would make, but it's really cool. And it's because we're, as they say, like, the cheesy saying, like, you eat your own dog food. It's really promoted within our company too. So it's not, so it's not really like a butt in seat at 8 a.m. type position, which is nice, because it gives there's a lot of trust with employees too. So it's really nice.
I prefer to say we drink our own champagne.
Yes. Oh, I like that one better.
But the point's valid. It's a lot easier to talk about it and be enthused about it and to sell it if you know the value because you use it yourself. So let's get into the heart of the discussion. What I'm really interested in is, you've seen both sides. You know what the vendors do and you know what the integrators do. And I kind of feel like sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect. Sometimes I feel like the vendors are selling to the integrators instead of helping the integrators sell to the end users. I talk to vendors all the time and they say, we have a great new product, whether it's a camera or a codec or a microphone, and the integrators are going to love it because it's easy for them to set up and configure. And I'm like, is that what the integrators really want? Are you looking for vendors to give you things that make your technicians happy? Or are you looking for things that you can sell to your customers?
We want it all. No, we do want it all, but no, I think it's interesting because when I worked at Audio, we sold to the integrators. That was our main customer. So we sold a lot of inputs and outputs, and this cable versus that cable, and blah blah blah, and it was great. It worked really well, but I think to an extent we were also manufacturing physical, tangible products, so it's easier to demonstrate and understand that way. I think the problem is, and we do a lot of like dealer shows. We just had a big national sales meeting, and when I noticed when we first started doing our dealer shows last year, it was we'd have our manufacturers show up and they'd have like a couple black boxes sitting on a table, a cable maybe wrapped around something, and that was like it. And like, I don't know what that does. And you go and you get kind of like the whole the 5-minute elevator pitch, and it's and they kind of tell you and they go, well, now you can run this cable 500 feet versus it's industry changing, and me, I don't care. I don't, sure, it'd be great for our technicians and it probably could save us a little bit of money here, but I see it, and it's an interesting dichotomy too, because you can, the design engineers, our designers are really the guys who are putting together the whole solution. They're the ones who are making sure that everything works together, that the solution is the solution is working flawlessly and right for the space and blah blah blah. But the AV salesperson is really that first touch with the customer, right? So they're really going to be the one, out there visiting, doing site surveys, and talking with the customer, trying to come up with that solution. So does that person really care that a cable can go from here to here? They're going to bring it back to their design engineer and say, make this work. Make this work so we can solve this solution. So I think what I've noticed being in this position is there are so many manufacturers, and because we service so many markets and so many solutions, it's really overwhelming for an integrator. If you think about it, I would just say roughly, we have about 300 approved manufacturers that we deal with, right? Within those 300 manufacturers, we have anywhere from, 1 to hundreds of products and SKUs and stuff. And then within those 300 manufacturers, you have new technology that's rolling out all the time. So it's really hard to keep up, and and I won't mention the company, but I had a manufacturer send me like a 10-page dealer program, you know, document of how, they could sell more of this product with us and do more business with us, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, we just want you to email it to all of your salespeople. Like, if I email that to my salespeople, they're going to delete it and I lose all credibility. Right? So, I'm trying to explain it to them too, because it's a smaller kind of niche market that this manufacturer focuses in. So I would say our company, maybe 5%, and that's probably stretching it a bit. Maybe 5% really focuses on that niche market. So that means 95% of the people that I send it to aren't going to understand it. So and it sounds really dumb, but and really easy, but sometimes I just want manufacturers to literally put together a paragraph and explain it to me like I'm like 10. Tell me what it is you do. Like, I don't want the nits and the gnats and the bits and the bytes and all of that other stuff. It's like, just tell me what you do so I can explain it internally to our salespeople, what it is you do, what problem you're trying to solve for our customer. Because that's our ultimate goal, is really, we want to make our customer solution work, and we want to make it work well. We want to make them happy. We want to enrich their lives, whether it's, just a corporate boardroom, or whether it's, a church, whether it's, a city council. We want to make their lives easier by using communication tools, and by telling us that you can, your black box has, 3 HDMI ports and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. It really doesn't get me excited. It doesn't make me want to run out and tell a customer, I have the perfect solution for you, blah, 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 this WYSIWYG this and this WYSIWYG that. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's a bit of a balance, but it's interesting. I didn't realize how much of it was going on until I got into this position.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like there's a balance, and I see the same balance when I'm trying to cover this stuff. When people come to me, vendors come to me with new products, we want you to write about it, we want to explain it to you, and they start with the speeds and the feeds and the connections, and I have to say, wait a minute, that stuff's important, but take a step back. My sister is a teacher in a school. How would I explain this to her? How would this help her teach her students if it's a collaboration technology for a classroom? Start with the use case, start with what it does in real life, and then get into the speed. And that stuff is important. I was looking at an evaluation of a camera recently, and it's set up so that the plugs in the back, instead of going straight this way, they go in vertical this way, so the camera could be a little closer to the wall. That's cool, that's important, and the integrators are going to love that. It's easier to set up, and the users, they might not even know what's happening, but at the end the room will look prettier because it'll be set up better. So it's important, but I think that's after the fact. You have to start with, what does this stuff do?
Well, yeah, and that's it. I mean, that all the little details are important, but post that on your website. I'd like to know the end result, the goal of why. Why'd you make this product, and how can, like I mentioned before, how can we solve the problems that our customers are having? Because that's ultimately what we want to do.
Yeah, that's something you've said a few times as we've been talking that I've really picked up on. You keep talking in terms of solutions instead of products, and I love that. And it's something that I think we've been talking that way for a long time, but now it's really starting to happen. I think until recently our industry was a lot simpler. We had projectors, we had video cameras, we had microphones. And someone might come to you and say, hey, I want to set up a boardroom, I want a good video camera, whether it's Vadio or a competitor or whatever, I want good microphones, and they knew what products they want. And now I think, especially with all of these software services that do so many things, it's become a lot more solution-oriented. I think the consumers are coming in, instead of saying we want a monitor, and we want video, and we want a whiteboard or this or that, they say, we want to set up a room for our sales team. They need to have Salesforce up on a big screen. They need to be able to bring in remote people on video one way or another. Everyone needs to look good. And then it's up to the integrator to say, well, how do we put this together? What tools? So it's a lot harder for you guys, but I think that's what our industry needs. Another question I have is, it seems as though the nature of these solutions are changing from hardware-centric to software-centric. We still, of course, need hardware. You got to have your headsets, you got to have your microphones, your cameras, but it seems that they're almost peripherals now as opposed to the central part of solution. Has that, I know a lot of integrators have had a lot of trouble changing from a hardware selling model. Selling boxes is easy. You make a commission, you sell a box, to selling software, which is less money up front, harder for your salesman to get what they need out of it, and just a completely different sales process. How has AVI Systems been dealing with that transition?
Well, I had a conversation with one of my coworkers about this about a month ago, and, it's interesting because he's like, like, I, and I think it's just because I'm immersed in like social media and I go to a lot of events and whatnot, but all I hear is like software, 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 and for me, it's, I mentioned this to him and he's like, yeah, but we make a ton of money on hardware. And I'm like, we do now, but will we 6 months from now? Will we 12 months from now, 18 months from now? And it's like, I get that we do it now, but at the same time, you have to look ahead, because when that happens, are we going to be prepared for it? And that's, I think, kind of the fine line, is the fact that we as integrators, or at least, I don't mean to speak for everyone, but I think we still do make a lot of our revenue from, the actual hardware, because you have to have hardware, you have to have a monitor, you have to have, or a screen or some type of display to see something, right? So there's, like you said, there's always going to be hardware. I think it's just not going to be the main driving engine of it. Everything's going to a computer, or a tablet or a mobile device. It's because it's already been adopted in the mainstream. That's what people want to use. That's what they're comfortable using. And you hear the argument, and I heard it when I used to work at Audio too. It's like, well, we want to sell the big, the big $20,000 systems. That's where we make our money. That's where we make our margin and stuff. And it's like, eventually that's going to go away. So hopefully you have a plan B for your business, because it's inevitable that a lot of that stuff's just going to go away, and you have to figure out some sort of, whether it's a software as a service model or some way to bring in, a subscription, or, one year contract or something. You have to figure out a way to make money doing what people want to do.
And what they want to do now is have their problem solved. They want to, whether it's a sales team or the marketing team or the development team, they want to go into the meeting room and have whatever tools they want and whatever people they want remotely coming in, and have it all work easily.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head there.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun, and I definitely want to follow up with you at some point, because I think as things continue to change and go, more from hardware to software and more to room design, I think the role of the integrator is going to continue to change more than anything. You guys talk to the vendors and you talk to the end users, so you know what's going on more than anyone else. So thank you so much for the time, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Cool. Thanks a lot, David. I appreciate it.